If you get wins, if you win series, you don't cop the criticism and pressure that someone who has a very significant losing record. How many series has Laurie lost? 5?
About to be 6.
Well, we could still win, but I know what you're saying. Like, this is absolutely worthy of critique. You're not a bad New South Wales fan if you're calling out Laurie Daley's coaching and the performances of the team, and not just the result, but the actual performance, the way they're playing. It doesn't look like a team that's united around a singular idea to go and win a game for their state.
And I get it. But, things like personal attacks.
Right, but where are the personal attacks?
No,
I'm looking for them. Like, people are taking the piss a little bit. There's a little bit of meme making. Yeah. Where are the personal attacks happening on Laurie Daley? Everyone is critiquing his coaching record, his bench rotation, and his selections. And in fact, almost all the coverage is, I hate to say this about Laurie because he's a really good bloke. And then we go and critique his coaching record, his bench rotation, and selection. So I don't think there is a personal vendetta. Well, in this week's episode, we're breaking down the big talking points from the weekend, but not only the weekend. Alex is back. Welcome back, Al. We're going to be breaking down a little bit more of that Origin coverage, particularly, is Laurie Daley copping too much criticism? There's a lot to unpack as well from the weekend's results, as well as some very exciting fixtures for this week's round of NRL. Over to you, Al. How you been, mate?
I've been good. Yeah. It was a real shame to miss out on last week's episode.
I know, you were furious.
I think I was up and still texting you after midnight.
I
was still going, like, he's asleep at this point. I'm just talking to the universe. But oh man, I had too many things to say at that point. Like, and there's no point in rehashing them all now because it's yesterday's news. But
correct.
But the main point and the main takeaway, and after everything, when I sort of sat with it, the weeks passed, the dust has settled. I've allowed myself to calm down, and I think that I've lost faith in the possibility of a Game 3 win. Now, this could come back to bite me, and this could get clipped, and it's a great intro for an edit, by the way.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know if everything that I've seen now over the past 2 games, everything that's happened behind the scenes, everything that's happened in between the games too, all of the chatter, it's left me feeling like I have zero confidence in not just New South Wales as a team, but the coaching staff and probably the organisation more broadly. I feel like they have almost completely lost their way, and there probably needs to be change from the top down, just a complete clean house refresh.
Well, you're doing what Bulldog Richie said New South Wales fans shouldn't be doing. You're slamming them before the series is even over.
Yes, I am, and it could be a little bit premature, but maybe that's what it takes. Like I watched you and him go back and forth, and I agree with you 100%. I think you made a really good point, particularly at the end, when I think your finisher move was
the finisher.
I think your finisher move was, Queensland. The reason the Billy and Queensland don't cop the same flack is because, they've earned that right to be sort of insulated.
Yeah, well, if you get results, if you get wins, if you win series, you don't cop the criticism and pressure that someone who has a very significant losing record. How many series has Laurie lost? 5?
About to be 6.
We could still win, but I know what you're saying. Like, this is absolutely worthy of critique. You're not a bad New South Wales fan if you're calling out Laurie Daley's coaching and the performances of the team, and not just the result, but the actual performance, the way they're playing. It doesn't look like a team that's united around a singular idea to go and win a game for their state.
And I get it. But, things like personal attacks.
Right, but where are the personal attacks?
No,
I'm looking for them. Like, people are taking the piss a little bit. There's a little bit of meme making. Yeah. What's a personal attack? Like, is it a DM that's threatening him? Is he even on social media? Are they abusing his where are the personal attacks happening on Laurie Daley? Everyone is critiquing his coaching record, his bench rotation, and his selections. And in fact, almost all the coverage is, I hate to say this about Laurie because he's a really good bloke. And then we go and critique his coaching record, his bench rotation, and selections. So I don't think there is a personal vendetta. I know Bulldog Richie is really hammering down on this, but I suspect, and this is a complete presumption, because I asked him actually, I said, hey, Bulldog, tell me the line between personal criticism and just accountability for results and performance. And he said it's a foggy line and didn't actually give me an answer. But he must have seen something or heard something that caused him to stand up for his mate Laurie Daley. And I reckon it had to be, and it's complete presumption, is that he can't call out his own masthead. I reckon Bulldog didn't like the boring speeches story. That's my theory, that Travis Main and Peter Bedell for the Courier Mail did a Laurie Daley's speeches are boring write-up, and I think that's the personal attack that Bulldog's talking about, which, by the way, is still not a personal attack, in my opinion.
Okay. Even if that, you're right, that's not a personal attack, and I agree that this chat most likely propaganda, in my opinion.
100%.
Like
100%
I'm not seeing,
yeah.
I'm not seeing any evidence to suggest anything other than that. But okay, so what? They wrote the story. His speeches are boring. You only need to look no further than the live streams to to bore you.
Yeah, he's not a captivating speaker, is he?
Clearly not. Yeah. Like if you've got all of New South Wales tuning in to watch it and they're falling asleep at 7:30 in the morning, and I'm going to roll back over and just go back to bed. I can't imagine what the players are thinking sitting there. Yeah. And then when we were up 12-8 and I'm watching halftime and I can see Billy Slater giving this captivating speech to the players, and they're all just so zero. They're so locked in. They're all sitting around there. It was just. Everyone looked so unified in that moment, and I was just like sitting there being like, turn up the volume. Like, I want to hear what he's saying right now. And then it cuts to New South Wales. Laurie Daley's just sitting slumped back, just not really participating in the halftime discussion. The players look disengaged. Mm-hmm. They were up and they're dejected. Yeah. And Matt King's giving the speech, and I'm just like,
that is curious. So do you think, well, we don't know for sure, right? But is Matt King giving the halftime speech then?
That's what it looked like.
We don't know for sure.
I mean, we only got the 20. Yeah. So, but they're only back there for they're only really speaking for 5 minutes anyway. Yeah. If he's doing any of the speaking, in my opinion, that's a problem. Yeah. I was a part. I saw 18 different halftime speeches. Yeah. From Freddie.
In Origin camp. Yeah.
Yes, and not once would a special advisor or assistant coach or anyone get up and start yapping to the players in that moment. That's the time for your leader to lead. Yeah. That's the moment. Yeah. And you mobilize the troops. And that's just, we saw firsthand that not occurring. And so, if there's also stories, which by the way came out before that vision. Yeah. It's not off the back of that. Yeah. What else is one to deduce from that? Yeah.
So I think this means that, Bulldog Richie's looking after a mate, which he has said, I am
fine.
Mate. But there aren't many facts on Bulldog's side here. There's pretty much every single analyst, expert of the game. Then if you throw in journos and if you throw in fans of the game, no one is feeling moved, captivated, or convinced that Laurie Daley is leading this state to a victory.
And taking it a step further, I think he said something to the effect of, and just check me if I'm butchering it. Yeah. But it was something along the lines of, well, you should just support because you're born in New South Wales.
Yeah, so this is, okay, the toxic positivity that occurs within rugby league circles baffles my mind. As a fan watching the game, I can be both critical and supportive, and I think, in fact, criticism is the best way to improve an organisation, to improve a team. That if you're not having any criticism, then you get, I think you mentioned this to me, you get complacent. You go, okay, we're just going to, and then complacency leads to acceptance. You're accepting that this is just how things are, which then leads to underperformance, failure, and losing. You've got to have critical analysis, and that's where I come back to the point of they're so badly performing, that's why there's so much criticism. If there was hope, if there was slivers of we're actually playing really well, and there's probably only been 2 20-minute periods where they've looked like a decent side, of course there's going to be an abundance of criticism because the majority of New South Wales' performances have been abysmal. Yeah, and so criticism, as a fan, of course you're going to criticise. Yeah. And I'm still going to, and this is the other thing. What do you expect?
I love when there's another thing. I love it.
And so I'm going to watch the game. Do you think suddenly, because I've been critical of New South Wales, I'm not going to absolutely be cheering and demanding that they win on Wednesday night in a week? I'm absolutely going to be abusing Queenslanders. I'm going to be abusing Ashley Klein as the ref. I'm going to be absolutely all about New South Wales. It's the aftermath where the criticism happens. As a fan of New South Wales, you really only need to be switched on and cheering for your team in that 80-minute period. Everything else is up for grabs. So a fan isn't just always positive. And Bulldog even said, I presented that to him, it was a bit of a straw man argument. I was like, you're saying I should always be positive. He's like, no, you can criticize. You can have an analysis. But then every single criticism and analysis that comes up is refuted as why does Laurie need to do that? Laurie needs to do that because he's the head coach of New South Wales. It's a very important position. It's a position in the spotlight, and the team's not performing. So, of course, he should have to receive criticism and take it on the chin. Now, he might be taking it on the chin. I don't know. Bulldog did say it's wearing on him. But what?
Yeah, it's wearing on it. And you can see it. You can literally
see it. But it's wearing on him because his team's not winning. It's not about the criticism. It's about the performance.
Yeah.
Cool.
No,
I reckon we've hammered that.
You're bang on. You're bang on. I think at the end of the day, if they're friends, that's great. I'm not Laurie's friend, and by the way, neither is the rest of New South Wales. As individuals.
Actually, can I just jump in there on the mates thing for mates in media, right? So Bulldog's a mate of Laurie Daley, Paul Kent's a mate of Ricky Stewart. About 10 other Fox presenters are probably mates with Ricky Stewart. So here's my concern with, and I thought Paul Kent had this great take. I thought it was a good argument because people are like, oh, you don't hammer Ricky because he's your mate, and Paul Kent's essentially like, well, what kind of mate are you if you're going to hammer your mate? So I can understand, I respect that personalities in the media will stand up for the mates and the relationships that they have. I can accept that. But then what they need to accept is that they're not always going to be trusted for their opinion because people can't be confident what relationships they're protecting.
And if it's just going to constantly present these conflict of interest, then it's, it just becomes less compelling, less interesting. Again, at the end of the day, these coaches, we can protect them all they want. We can say, water it down, makes them, it's wearing on him, he's tired. By the way, he gets paid money to coach 3 games a year.
The job is to get tired. The job is to be wearied, but the job is pressure.
Yes. Yeah, you sign up for that. That is the point of the position.
That is the job.
Sorry.
You don't have to do the job.
Yeah.
You have agency in the situation. You are not a prisoner to New South Wales.
Not a slave, exactly. Yeah. And so, I make no apologies for that. And by the way, every fan that is critical just wants to win.
That's it.
You work for them.
It's not a vendetta against Laurie Daley. Again, there isn't a vendetta. There's just not a vendetta. I know Mitch Moses came out with some things about, like, can we get behind Loz? It's like, well, firstly, Mitch Moses should say that he's a player. You want your player backing your coach. But at the same time,
maybe
when we say we should be backing Laurie Daley and being on his side, well, actually, we should be winning. So all this noise quietens down if you win.
And here's the thing, and I find it so funny. But by the way, it doesn't really matter. It's completely irrelevant to me whether Mitch Moses supports Laurie, doesn't support Laurie, what the players say about that. There's no point in even asking them the question.
Yes.
At the end of the day, this is what's amusing to me. You look at the people that are coming out and the commentary, around Laurie and the performance and this and that and the other. Half the chat are from people that once played Origin.
Yeah.
Many of who played for New South Wales.
Incredibly qualified.
Some as recently as 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, these players don't just, they have these opinions themselves in camp, by the way. Mm-hmm. They discuss it amongst themselves. They discuss it with their families. They go home. They know it. Yeah. They think it. They can see it. They don't just develop these analytical skills the second they retire.
Yeah.
The same people that played Origin are able to recognize the good and the bad and the ugly.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that they can't say it while they're in, of course he's not going to say it now, but you take that with a grain of salt.
Exactly. All right, let's move on from
All
that.
right.
We've smashed him enough. Sorry, Loz.
Okay.
I'm sure you're a great bloke.
Oh man, was that too harsh? Maybe.
No, we weren't that hard. We were actually more hammering Bulldog.
Yeah, that's true. So a little bit of a change of pace.
Okay.
You
got that out. No more Origin chat.
Okay.
Good.
Well, half Origin chat because we are looking ahead to Game 3.
Yes.
We talked last week about New South Wales saviours. That was sort of the hero of the episode, and then. The script writers have been writing scripts because the second after that conversation and the second after Latrell was ruled in what was going to be something that was written in the stars, a thing of beauty, Latrell now has injured himself again.
Yeah, and reports are even it could be so significant not till finals he comes back.
Not till finals?
Well, that was Reedy. It could be, this is speculation, but it's a serious injury. He can't just pull it
I couldn't tell if it was getting downplayed or not, or just even if it's a month, that's still significant at this point of the season. But it's it opens some questions. Number one, he's absolutely ruled out of Origin 3 100% now.
Yeah.
Where do the Rabbitohs go?
Oh, we're going Rabbitohs. Okay, cool. Yeah, great. I was actually thinking it's going to be a bit concerning for them. They've looked very disjointed without Latrell in the team, but I actually think they've looked more disjointed without Jack Whiten. I think Latrell brings the X factor in regards to attack, but Jack Whiten's defence has made that edge that he was on right edge phenomenally robust in defence. So I think that's a huge miss as well. So missing those two players, I don't know when Jack's back, by the way. It must be soon. when he's back in the side, they look like a more stable unit.
Yep.
But yet again, you can't put this all on Latrell. South's also messed with their spine. Like, that's gone under the radar. Everyone's been hammering Serraldo.
You didn't include those. Include Rabbitohs in your
no, spine. Yeah. So, and because they've done it mid-season, they put in Ashton Ward. So they've gone, okay, Jamie Humphreys is surplus to our needs as a squad for the future, and he's also surplus to playing our halfback. So they've messed with things as well. So I don't think it can be all on Latrell and Whiten are out, and Campbell Graham is out or whatever. That they've also messed with their spine. So I don't know. I think if there's a team, and this might be Manly bias coming through, but if there's a team that was to drop out of the 8, because I think you're going to need to make space for the Storm in the 8, I think the most likely candidate is the Rabbitohs. Yeah.
So we're still on.
They're coming, dude. Yeah, they are on a hot train. The Storm are making the 8. I hate it.
It's such a shame as well because I always feel like Latrell's career at this point has always. Every single season looks like there was some trajectory of having like one of the great seasons.
Yeah.
And it always just gets, derailed with injuries.
Yes, and so he's in now the Travojevic category that people are like, oh, Tommy Turbo could have had this epic career, but he's always injured.
Yeah.
Trell and Turbo are only in the past 7 years. Trell's only played something like 12 more games than him, something like that. He's played 96 in 7 years, and Turbo's played about 85 in 7 years. And over the past 3 seasons, as many would know, I'm on this high horse a lot, is that Turbo's played more games than him. So yeah, it's really unfortunate. I don't know if it's his body type, if it's his discipline in training. We don't know why this keeps happening. It can just be an unfortunate reality of rugby league.
Yeah.
It is always going to be. I think it's becoming asterisk worthy. Yeah.
It's starting to be. I mean,
but I'll never hear a bad word about Tom Travojevic.
well, a lot of the things that people say about Tom, including myself, have always been, at this point, given where his body is at. And how he's been performing, perhaps the best place for him in Manly's side is the centres. But then,
oh my god,
but you look. I argue against myself here, so you don't have to do it yet. But Latrell, I look at him. Obviously the move to centres was great for him.
Yeah,
11 tries, 9 games, fastest play to 100 points, was just putting on absolute clinics. Again, the center position didn't protect him from injuries.
From injuries,
at the end of the day, and it's just like if your body is just the way that it is, then nothing's going to really probably help you sidestep your injury risk if you're just injury prone.
Yeah,
and so you're probably better off now that I have reflected on that take. I kind of feel like you should just probably play the position that you're best at.
Which for Latrell though is centre, right?
Yes, for him that's centre.
But for Turbo it's fullback.
For Turbo it's probably fullback.
Oh, welcome to the light.
I know.
Thank you, Alex.
And so it took me a while, but I did have that thought after another injury. Did you watch the Bulldogs game?
Of course I did. Furiously, in agony. Yeah.
I know that you were in the corner, fingers in ears.
Yeah, at some point I literally was on the ground in my child's playroom, lying down, not being able to see the TV, fingers in my ears so I couldn't hear. I think Vossi was commentating actually. Couldn't hear him because I was just like, we are going to botch this. We're going to butcher this. And this was long before Golden Point. I just was like, man, what is going on with this team? We were in such great field position. We were doing great. And then it looks like we're going to choke and lose this. And of course we did.
Was this the first real Fosball challenge of the season so far?
No, I think so. I would think that the Sharks showed that they're a much better team than Manly. So the thing about Fosball and what Foz is doing, all he is doing is helping a squad overachieve. This is not a squad that can win a comp. The middle's depth is really, really weak, and it's been our weakness, and they have overperformed and overachieved. And so we were getting dominated against the Sharks and then turned it back on. With the Dogs game, it was a little bit different. Manly did get hammered with Hetherington going out early. Then Wakeham, who's also been a star for the team, copying that injury. That there were things they were already with thin middles, and now they lost 2. And so I thought, excuse me, I just thought like that was unfortunate. But they should never have been in the position to lose the game if they just kicked 1-2 goals. Like that is really, I know the Bulldogs defended well and they kept themselves alive in the game, but they did not attack well. Manly won every stat line except the one the ref controls. So this wasn't a dominant Bulldogs performance. This was a dominant Manly performance that they choked on.
Yes. I was sort of, when I watched it, I thought this was not a Bulldogs win, it was a Manly loss.
100% it was. And of course, people are going to say this is our Manly bias coming through, but the stats show that the Bulldogs played worse. And like, it's so interesting, right? Because Luke Keary came out and said, I think actually Crichton was playing 7. And if I watch that game back, I actually think that's probably true. So it's a really funny one because Serraldo's been defending his spine selections for so long. And then suddenly, Matt Burton is in the centres. Very interesting. And had a very decent game.
I was going to ask you about that because apparently this has been something that they've discussed over the last 2 weeks and probably have thought about for even longer.
Yeah.
I mean,
it wasn't bad. I thought actually Crichton was a good game manager. Like,
so did I.
And then I thought Galvin, because Galvin's try was the result of a 5-8 try, a dummy and run near the line, did well, had a really streaky kick. They got a bit lucky with that try. So they still... But here's the issue. So Crichton played a good game management role. There's still no one creating opportunities for players to score. They absolutely the most similar team to the Dragons in terms of attacking structure in an opponent's red zone, which is evidenced by the fact that they're the second worst performing team in attack in the comp. So the Bulldogs' problems aren't going away, and a win always covers a multitude of sins. There's a great parallel between the Bulldogs' win with their changes and New South Wales' win in Game 1. Yes, they won. They were not the better team.
I think that from everything that I saw in that game, I didn't pick up in the way that Keary did on Crichton playing halfback, but upon reflection, it clearly was. You could see he was super vocal. He was definitely trying to organize the team, organize the offense. Burton in the centers has always been so right to me. I have never liked him at 5'8". Honestly.
No, I really haven't either.
And
since at Penrith, but then he was not even the best 5'8" at Penrith.
No, and he was at Dally M Centre of the Year at Penrith.
I know, and in New South Wales Centre.
Yes,
no?
He played centre for New South Wales, and he had a great game, by the way. Yeah, he scored on debut. I think did he have a double? He might have, or maybe not. But
in any case,
doesn't matter.
His greatest plaudits and accomplishments have occurred at playing centre.
So
it's kind of mind-boggling we're talking about him as a 5'8", to be honest.
Yeah, and he's never ever been in the conversation for one of the he's never in contention for anything at a representative level at 5'8". 5'8", yeah. But we consider him one of the better players in the comp.
Yeah,
there was some chat around this move messing with players, the heads of players. Burton's edge under siege, won't back his 5'8" in crunch moments. Blah 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 blah. I think that this should just be like an acceptance of. I mean, I don't think that Crichton should be the long term.
No, of course not.
Half. Yeah. By any stretch.
Yeah, but we're getting a little bit crazy now, aren't we? So we're halfway through the season, and the Bulldogs' solution for their spine issues, when they already had a spine that was getting them in the top 4, is to move Crichton to a position he's not going to permanently fill. Stephen Crichton's future is not going to be at halfback.
It's band-aid.
Band-aiding. It's a band-aid, isn't it?
But just trying to limp through the season.
Okay, but fair enough. You got to get through the season. You got to try something. So I do respect that they changed something. All right, we're rattling on about these boys. Let's move.
The one other thing that I was thinking, and I'll say quickly, is that I think that if they can make some big moves, some good shuffling, have a brand new spine in 2027, I do like what I saw still.
It's going to come down to the spine. Like, they don't have it. They need to work out how to score tries. They're just terrible. Like, that is the issue. So you could blame Adam O'Brien. You could blame the halves. Whatever it is, it's not working. They scored 2 tries, and they won, and they shouldn't have.
Yeah, well, like we said, it was a Manly loss, not a Bulldogs win. So on to the Dolphins.
Yes.
Warriors this weekend.
Yeah, man. So how good are the Dolphins going? I think it's 7 straight now.
I thought that
they're on fire.
I thought that it was crazy. Not crazy, but when Billy Slater was like, I see them as like premiership contenders. I was like, or they could win the premier. I was kind of like, I couldn't see it in that way at that time. But again, it just goes to show he seems to be seeing things that the rest of us can't.
Clearly a genius, yeah.
Because they were well,
but they have already conceded 50 to Manly. So did they concede 50? No, 48.
No, so they're just
they're
just shy.
Okay,
I don't know whether that absolves them though.
No, yeah, but since that game, they've been the form team in the comp.
Yeah,
they're better than Penrith now. Then they are now in the past 7 games the best team in the comp.
Yeah. I do wonder though, how do you feel about this test for the Dolphins against the Warriors?
So this is an exciting game, right?
But they've been a little bit wobbly.
Yeah, but this is a really exciting game. So we have the second place Warriors coming up against are the Dolphins top 4 now? Surely they've got to be close. So fourth place again.
They're third.
They're third. There you go. Right. So we've got second versus third. I don't think this is getting the hype because they're two teams that don't dominate headlines within mainstream press. So this is going to be unbelievably exciting. I actually think it's less of a test for the Dolphins and more of a test for the Warriors. And the reason for that is that they're copping injuries. They've shown in the clutch moments that they're not delivering. Like they should have beaten the Sharks a couple of weeks ago and didn't. So I think they're on a rocky track at the moment, rocky road. But whereas the Dolphins are hot and fresh and they're in form, and the most exciting thing for the Dolphins compared to say Warriors, and here's my scandalous claim by the way, Al, whoever wins this game will end up second in the competition.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a battle for second in the competition.
Wow.
Because the Warriors now, Jackson Ford's out for something like 12 weeks.
Yes.
They're still going to get a little hurt from Origin. They don't have a half that can ice games. They've got some great halves playing well. Tamari Martin's playing great. But if it comes down to a tight contest, like I expect this Dolphins game to be, I think the Dolphins will get through.
Yeah, I have to agree
end up
with
second. They look too good.
They do look too good, and also, I mean, the Hammer Cobbo Origin combo right now is just.
Yeah.
I mean, Cobbo's probably, depending on how Game 3 goes, he's probably going to be the Wally Lewis medalist.
Yes, that is my scandalous prediction. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the Wally Lewis medal if they win.
And he absolutely deserves. A lot of people say, can a winger really win that?
Yeah.
I think that.
Or Dane Gagai did in 2017, which Jimmy told me last week.
Well, he absolutely deserves it, in my opinion. Yeah. If he can maintain this form, his Game 2 was out of this world. One of the better games that we've ever seen, I think, from a winger.
Yeah.
On the Origin stage, I just think that they're just too good. They've got too much strike. They're just getting better.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to back you in on that take.
Do you think they'll end up second?
No.
Okay. All right. So you think the Warriors will keep their form?
I don't know, but I don't know if I can see. It's hard for me to see the Dolphins putting it all together for another 10 rounds.
Sorry, I forgot my most important piece of evidence for why they can.
Okay.
So if you survey all the teams in the top 8 and or even the top 10, even the top 12, or just all the teams, I don't know what I'm doing here, right? So every single team, and if you there's a document that I've surveyed that shows you what players they have out for the rest of the season. The Dolphins have no one. They have no long-term injuries for the rest of the season. Like, everyone's pretty much fit. You've got a little niggle, I think, for Gilbert with his throat and Sarko's finger, but he already's been playing.
Yeah.
There's literally no one out. No one has an ACL. No one has a knee injury. No one has a hamstring. No one has a calf. No one has syndesmosis. It is a clean slate. I don't know what they've done with their strength and conditioning. They're probably not training at Heffron Park like the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Whatever it is, the Dolphins have a clean slate, which means I think they're going to come home even stronger because so many other teams are battling injuries. Penrith are not in the same place. They're the only other team in that top 8 that look really solid. So I actually think the Dolphins have got a real red-hot crack of going second.
You don't know what you've just done.
What have I've jinxed them.
You've just done that right now, in this moment.
Yes, I'm happy to. They're not my team.
Oh,
that's
man.
a nice little tidbit. Bit of research for you today, guys. Yeah.
I didn't even think of that, but that is a good point. Although now it's definitely at risk.
Yeah.
But we'll see where we go from here.
It's not my team. Sorry, Dolphins fans.
The only other game that I think is probably more important to you than the outcome of Warriors Dolphins has got to be Battle of Brookvale.
Yeah, baby, the Battle of Brookvale. Yes.
Manly versus Storm. It's kind of an interesting one because now Manly are coming off a little bit of a deflating loss. They've been tested.
Yeah.
This is where the maybe the honeymoon period's beginning to wear off potentially, and Melbourne are trying to storm home, no pun intended, into that top 8 or further.
Well, yeah. So firstly, I take objection to that it was a honeymoon period with Fosball. I think it immediately was installed as a new way of playing footy and a new approach to winning games. So I don't think it's a honeymoon. I just think they've been a form team who have had a little stumble. The wheels are not falling off Fosball. They've just hit a pothole. It was a despicable pothole, but wheels get fixed. They get put back on. I don't think...
Okay, Bulldog.
What What? Foz is not my mate.
Continue.
I'm just making the argument that
He may as well be at this
when
point.
it's 8 wins from 12 games or 9 wins from 12 games, whatever it is, that's not a honeymoon. That's a serious stint. So what I was going to say before you compared me to my enemy was that Manly still have evidence, like their defense was still amazing. They only miss under or just over 20 tackles, which in today's version of rugby league is a phenomenal achievement in defense. The Storm are playing really well. What brings me hope as a Manly fan, which Storm fans will be hating this bias, Jerome Hughes is not playing. So Jerome Hughes is not playing. He's picked up a minor hamstring injury. So I think, and that's why I was a bit confused as why Manly were overwhelming favourites for this game. There's still venom and history in this. And if it's not in the players, it's absolutely in the fans. We hate each other. And we do look back on the Battle of Brookvale as a monumental moment in both clubs' history. And so I'm really pumped for the boys to get fired up. I'm nervous that Nathan Brown is playing, not only because it's probably past him, but also because he's way too fiery. And if he's carrying the energy of Battle of Brookie, we may see something stupid happen. Stupid is controversial. Stupid brings attention. Stupid brings storylines, but it doesn't bring results. So I would hope that the players who are a bit more hot-headed, which is pretty much only Nathan Brown for Manly, that they keep it under control. On the other hand, if Joe Chan's playing and he wants to get hot-headed and Trent Leora is playing and does something stupid, I'm more than happy for them to blow a gasket and go nuts and end up in the sin bin. So I'm hoping for a tense, tight affair. I am nervous. I actually think Melbourne Storm should still be favourites because of their form line and because of the squad that they have.
I'm most interested in seeing how Tom's going to perform off the back of last week's performance.
He's going to turn up, baby. Tom Trbojevic is going to turn up.
You think he's going to turn up?
He's going to turn up, baby.
What are you predicting from him? He looked good, not great, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course, but he's back from a long-term injury. So he's going to fire up. He's going to set up some line breaks. He's going to score a try. It's a Tom Trbojevic show. He's actually been excellent this season. He wasn't dominant last night. The last round.
Yes.
But he's still a very good player. We sometimes measure Tom against his 2021 season and not recognise that he still brings a lot for Manly.
So let's say he's able to perform to at least the level of the previous game.
Yeah.
And he's now put 2 games, similar stature, together, back to back. Is he in your Origin
he's in my Origin team. Yeah.
4?
Because he can break. I don't care. I don't care, but like 4 probably playing centre.
Okay.
He's in the team because at this point, Laurie's devoid of tactics that work. So I'm making and of course he doesn't think that, but I think New South Wales are devoid of tactics that work. So you've just got to dial up the star power. And Tom Trbojevic can rise to big moments. He's a clutch player. He's a dominant player. He's one of the most talented athletes in the game. He can do the job in Origin.
Would you consider having him at fullback over Teddy?
I think more likely would be Edwards going in there. If we're going to do that, I think Teddy's copped a fair bit for game 2. That might be a little bit unfair. And he delivered for us in game 1.
Okay.
But, mate, none of this, to be honest, none of this Origin chat matters. Not a single selection matters unless Cam Murray's playing lock.
Well, you're 100%.
That is, right. I actually think the linchpin movement, and a lot of Queenslanders give me crap about, mate, one position change isn't going to matter.
No, it does.
But it changes everything because Billy's formats his entire defence around Isaiah Yeo playing lock and has that dialed down to a T. He knows how to beat New South Wales when Yeo plays lock.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think that is the only position change that matters. Yeah. I don't know if I've thought more about the Teddy situation.
Yeah.
And I think I texted this to you after the game. But, what I saw from him in game 2 made me think that, and I backed him to the hills.
Yeah, no, he did, yeah.
It made me think that we did need Dylan Edwards in there, and it made me think that had we may have, Teddy's try at the end of game 1 may have lost us the series. In that it guaranteed his selection in game 2.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to now mean that he's selected in game 3.
I just don't think the loss is the result of James Tedesco, but I can understand the critique, which has always been the critique that Cleary and Tedesco personally might get along well, but how they play the game doesn't work well together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last topic.
Okay. Yeah.
And a very contentious one.
Oh, okay. Nice. I actually don't
Perth.
remember what this is. Oh,
Not
yes,
Penrith.
the Perth Bears. They're not Penrith. Yeah, that's what you said pre-show.
Perth salary cap.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts.
Yeah.
How do you think this is just going to affect the NRL more broadly?
So from memory of, and the news only broke this morning.
Only this morning.
So I believe the
fresh.
Perth Bears have been granted a $500,000 salary cap relief for 3 years. It can be applied to as many players as they want. But the intention is that it allows them to secure a $1 million plus player and top them up. So I think it's really serves the purpose of signing a marquee player for the first 3 years is kind of how it's been reported. Now, I don't know if it's been approved. I actually think that this is what is the word for when you get a gift, but it's a poison chalice.
Wow.
So, and here's why. It's not enough to make a significant monumental difference to Perth Bears squad. So it's only $500,000 a year for 3 years. It's almost like now Perth can't have the excuse. They can't have the excuse that they didn't get salary cap relief and the Chiefs did. It's a completely different kind of relief to the Chiefs relief. Like it is not. It's chalk and cheese. They're not even in the same league. The relief that both teams are getting. It kind of appeases the NRL of like, well, we did provide some relief. But it's not enough to make a change. Is it even going to be enough to secure the marquee talent? I don't know. Unless there's been conversations for the Bears with a player of like, oh, if we can pay you $1.5 million, you'll come across for 3 years. Maybe it's just to solve that problem. I'm completely speculating here, but it doesn't make a dent. There's still going to be a pretty shitty squad that won't make a difference in the competition in the first year. I was looking at it like, respect to these players, but that back five is either very inexperienced or not the highest quality. So how are they going to get out of their back end? How are they going to make yardage? And then you look at the halves. There's not a superstar there. Toby Sexton does a serviceable job. Wishart is a great player. He might even be going to 9. I don't know. So it's still not a great squad. So bringing in one player will help, and that's what it's meant to do, bring in that marquee talent, but it's not going to make this squad amazing because the relief isn't enough. Now, I also think, I think they should get relief.
Wow.
I
was not expecting...
I to and fro, but there's no pathway system. They're having to go to South Africa. They're like, oh, we don't know what's going on. So, have you seen that as well? The Perth Bears have hired David Campese to help consult over and recruit from South Africa. I love the idea. But I actually love the idea of David Campese.
Yes.
Because I actually find Campo to be insufferable in the media. But he's like, rugby union didn't want me. I'm like, I can understand why based on everything you've said in public for the past 20 years. So, sorry if Campo's family's watching, which would be amazing. So then Campo is going to go help recruit from South Africa. I love the idea for its ingenuity, for its innovation.
Yes.
I think it's an indictment, though, of where the Perth Bears are at, that they have to go to a country very far away to try and find talent.
Okay.
Said a lot there.
Well, this has just taken me by surprise.
Oh, that I think they need relief? Of course they need relief, Alex. They've got nobody.
You think they need more? You want to keep going?
I think
they don't have enough relief. They need more relief.
Need $2 million more on the cap, maybe.
$2 million?
They've got to be a competitive team. It's not the same as the Dolphins. It's not the same as...
Why is it not the same as the Dolphins?
The Dolphins had an historic club, significantly resourced with a Queensland Cup team. They have significant pathways. They were able to secure Wayne Bennett. And no matter what anyone says, Mal Meninga is not Wayne Bennett. And not only did they secure Wayne Bennett, their replacement strategy was Christian Wolf, who is clearly working and has been a proven winner over in the Super League. Whereas the Perth Bears, their kind of plan is Ben Gardner. Now, at the same time, I think the Perth Bears, how they've approached this, and this includes the NRL, has just been terrible. It just hasn't worked. The leadership appointments haven't worked.
Yeah.
I think it was a miss to put Mal in. No disrespect to Mal, a legend of the game, but he's going to end up with, here's my bold prediction, he's going to end up with the same kind of legacy Laurie Daley has now. That Laurie Daley was a respected figure, a great player, but his coaching record taints his legacy. Mal Meninga's approach to coaching is going to taint his legacy. So it's not only that's what I'm trying to say. It's not. They definitely need relief.
Goodness.
But also their leadership appointments. They've already lost their general manager. He's gone. There's been disruption. There's just so much that hasn't worked. So putting a little bit of relief, like $500,000 a year, it's not going to fix things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you on I think that a coach makes the team, really. Like, if you remember when the Dolphins first came in, the sentiment and the discussion around, will the Dolphins even win a game?
Of course,
Like, that squad was on paper supposed to be dreadful, and then I remember that game 1 against the Roosters came out.
Yeah, it was such a great game.
And then you just knew exactly.
And injuries kind of hurt them. They probably would have made the 8 both years.
They probably could have gone a little bit further.
Yeah.
You really think that we need to now be stretching it to an additional $2 million? Where do you draw the line? Like, is every team supposed to just...
They need 2 to 3 stars. to be a competitive team that isn't embarrassing for the competition. It is not the same setup as the Dolphins. They don't have the pathways. They're doing the work. The plane's being built in the air. So I'm just saying, like, if this team wants to be competitive, I know the clubs won't go for it. I don't think the clubs should accept it. That they get $2 million to get 2 to 3 star players that pull away.
Why would they?
Yeah, I understand the fairness argument or the clubs getting a fair shake. I'm just saying that if the Bears are to be a competitive, respected side, they need much more talent on the park that they have, and they can't afford it.
And so they're in the situation that they're in.
Yeah,
they got their $500,000.
Yeah, it'll do nothing. It'll honestly do nothing good.
Okay, so then. But then it's also an indictment that they would go and recruit and evaluate talent abroad.
It's an indictment because they're stuck. Yeah, I think it's both. I think.
What are they supposed to do? If they can't have it one way, they've got to look for a solution another way. No.
Yeah, no. But so what I am saying, perhaps I haven't made my position clear here. The Perth Bears is a bit of a mess.
Yes.
But they also need salary cap relief, regardless if they were a mess or not, because they're a team that doesn't have the infrastructure in place, which means they do create. It's an indictment of that they need to go overseas.
Yeah,
I support the decision to go overseas.
Right. Okay.
I'm saying, but they have to.
Yes,
because they're so short.
Sorry,
on talent.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. So then, what's the gripe with Mal Meninga from a coaching perspective? What is it that you are looking at that you?
Well, firstly, he's still in Canberra. So his argument is, well, everyone's on the East Coast. Well, they're not in Canberra, mate. So that would be point one.
Yep.
Okay. So he's on $1 million a year and he's still in Canberra.
Yeah.
And if it's like, so I can recruit the talent, well, you haven't really recruited anyone significant that's making headlines. So that hasn't worked. The second part is that I think his origin record as a coach was inflated by having essentially 3 immortals in the squad. So I think that is, and fair play to him, you can only win with what you've got. So I'm not trying to say he was a bad coach, but the way he handles himself in media, you've heard him talk.
Yeah.
He's very similar to Laurie Daley in terms of competency in handling difficult questions. And I don't want to bring up his political career, but that lasted 35 seconds. So, and you can look that up if you don't know about that. So I'm not trying to, I think Mal is a great of the game. I think him being put into this position, it's a really big ask to pioneer a team. He's not a Wayne Bennett level coach on the club level. Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same body of work. It's not the same resume. I think he's going to be out of his depth.
Even with his experience with Australian Rugby League.
Yes. So his experience with Australian Rugby League, the most recent experience, copping the 30-0 loss to New Zealand.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yes. One game, though.
Yeah, sure. You should never lose 30-0.
No.
So that's like losing 48 or 48-24 in Origin 2. So it's there are similarities there is what I'm saying. He doesn't have the club coaching pedigree. He's got respect as a legend of the game. Totally. He doesn't have respect as a club coach.
That's fair. So
as a representative coach, maybe he's one of these guys that gets the best out of great talent. He's always I'm making an even stronger argument. Mal Meninga has always coached with excellent elite talent. He is now coaching with no talent. And when I say no, it's not disrespectful to those boys that are in the team, but they are nowhere near elite. None of them are going to be making cases to play Origin in the next few seasons.
Hasn't paid his dues.
Yeah, he's paid his dues as a legend of the game.
Of course.
He hasn't paid his dues as a club coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we haven't covered in this episode? I feel like we've gone through a lot.
Yeah, we've nailed a lot. Maybe next week we'll go through the New South Wales lineups because we'll have a bit more understanding.
I was thinking we could get them up on the board.
Yeah, I love
build
that.
our team.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Nice.
We'll see.
Hey, are we going to do a live game? Are we going to do a live show for this game?
You're putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I know.
But guess what? I actually think that if we can make it work.
Yeah.
I genuinely want to do that. I want to park up outside.
Come on, get in the comments. I need everyone supporting me. I want to do a live.
Jimmy's just giving it the tick of approval right now.
Come on, Jimmy. I don't know who needs to make this happen, but let's make it happen.
We'll see what we can do. But
if you're a Queenslander, you can come and abuse us.
That's right. Yeah, but not too much.
No, because
I checked the distance between the stadium and the hospital. I genuinely looked up the road to work out.
You think I'm going to cop it?
You never know.
Well, judging by the Bulldogs fans in my DMs this week, I am probably considering some insurance or some security.
Public liability insurance for that episode is not too crazy,
okay.
I think. But either way, we'll be here next week. It'll be we'll have selections, so it'll be well and truly in Origin mode, I would imagine, for next episode. And then whether we're in Queensland or we're here, we'll see everyone next week.
Yeah, and just one last thing. If you're wherever you're watching this, can you make sure you follow, like, subscribe, do the things the algorithm loves? We love having you as our audience. We're really blown away by the numbers that we've been seeing for our show. But we'd love for you to be a part of that community and like, follow, and subscribe, whatever works, wherever you are. I don't know how it all works. Cheers, guys. See ya.
Welcome back, Jimmy, from Bet365 to the Rugby League Forever podcast. Here again to discuss all things odds. We touched on me and Soapy touched on a few of the fixtures, but there's lots to like in this upcoming round, odds-wise.
Yeah, great round ahead. We finally got 8 full games as well, which is exciting, just before the final Origin game. So obviously there's a few games we want to highlight, but firstly, let's go into the outright odds to win the grand final.
Yep.
If I was to give you a team aside from the Panthers, who would be your favorite to win it?
Ooh, I mean, I kind of feel like the Dolphins, odds-wise, would have caught fire just off the back of all of the chat. I feel like a lot of liquidity must be flowing their way, surely.
You're correct. So aside from the Panthers, who are the clear favourites to win the grand final at $2.40, we do have 3 teams all at $9. So we've got, as you mentioned, the Dolphins.
Yes.
Their opponents this weekend, the Warriors.
Yes.
And then the Roosters at $9. So those guys are the
Wow.
next best back teams after the Penrith Panthers.
Yep.
And then it drops off a little bit to Manly at $15, South Sydney at $15.
Mm-hmm.
And then below them, you've got 3 teams at $21. You've got the Cronulla Sharks, the Knights, and the Melbourne Storm.
Mm-hmm.
All at $21. So do you have any takes there?
Look, I don't really believe anyone outside of $15 is an actual chance. I just don't see it. I think that, I honestly think it's probably Penrith's championship, barring injuries. If there's a major injury, you're probably looking at the Dolphins. I'm not, I'm with Soapy. I'm not a big. I feel like Warriors without halves are a big risk and would struggle to win a premiership, go all the way. The only other comment I'd make is, I'll probably keep Roosters in and around there, given that they've been favourites to win a premiership since before the season started.
And obviously, Roosters got a lot of strike power with the
Definitely.
Origin stars. But I do agree with you with the Dolphins that they're the kind of team that I feel like could disturb Penrith's type of play. They're very offensive. They've got a lot of strike power. So I feel like them at $9 is a great bet. I'm a little bit surprised South's at 15, considering the Latrell Mitchell news, where he could miss up to 6 weeks, which could really derail their chances of even making the top 8.
Yeah. One thing that I would say is I don't know, and I've almost changed my opinion. I've thought about something that Soapy had said earlier in the episode, and he was talking about how Manly have sort of overextended and they've over-indexed in what they've been able to do under Fosball, but they weren't in serious contention for premiership. I'd love if once they iron out, they're ironing out kinks at the right time of the season. They're losing games at the right time. I'd love to see what happens on the back straight here with them and into finals. I actually think that if Tommy's healthy, they could be, and the Tommy that we like to know, or at least 75, 80% of him, I'd like to think that they could be really competitive.
Yeah, I feel like there's been a little bit of an overreaction from that game. Every team has that one game where they perform poorly. Manly were $10 last week. Now they've drifted out to 15. So I feel like there has been a bit of an overreaction there. I will just correct you and Soapy on one thing.
Whoa.
The Dolphins actually did concede 52 against Manly earlier in the season.
Wow.
So could they become the first team to win a premiership that has conceded 50? We shall wait and see.
That's a Soapy error. That has absolutely nothing to do with me. I didn't run any commentary on that whatsoever.
So we shall wait and see with that one. But let's talk about round 17 of the NRL. Kick things off at CommBank tomorrow night. We've got the Eels taking on the Rabbitohs.
Yep.
So the Eels, it is Mitch Moses' 250th game, so we have a milestone narrative there.
Who cares?
South Sydney coming off the bye. They did have that great win against the Broncos previously. And they are also on a 3-game winning streak against the Eels, so they have a good record against them. My favourite try scorer from that game is Big David Fafita on the edge.
Wow. That's
Since he's at $3.
That's nice.
Since returning, he's scored 2 tries in his 2 games, so he's looked pretty dangerous, and particularly with Latrell missing and Jack Wyden, he's become a bit of a strike weapon for them and a bit of a target. So that's my favourite try scorer from that game, David Fafita there at $3.
Nice.
Then we go to Friday night. We've got the Broncos hosting the Roosters. So the Broncos getting all their origin players back. The Roosters coming off that pretty great win against the Sharks on Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
Short turnaround for them, so I'm not sure if that's going to be a factor there. The Broncos are outsiders at $2.75 and the Roosters are at $1.45. My favourite try score from that game is Robert Toya at $2.40.
Nice.
He's got a great run of form lately for Queensland and for the Roosters.
Yeah.
Broncos are a little bit leaky on their edge. I think he'll go up against Grant Anderson, who doesn't have a lot of reps there this season. And I feel like Toya can score off a grubber kick off Sam Walker. He can score off like a cutout pass. I feel like he's a great shot there and good value at $2.40.
What about Marky Mark in that game?
So Marky Mark, I feel like he's at a price where he's a little bit unbackable, like in the $1.40s. So I'd rather go for a bit of value there. They're on the same edge, and I feel like Toya, has a great shot there. Like I said, off a Sam Walker grubber kick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Marky Mark's definitely a great shout if you're looking for a winger to score. Let's go to Saturday night. We've got two amazing games. So let's start off with the Dolphins hosting the Wars at Suncorp.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if it's a Suncorp or a KO, but correct me if I'm wrong. Dolphins, obviously 7-game winning streak, amazing form. Warriors second on the ladder.
Yep.
This is a
Clash
game
of the
where,
Titans.
Soapy said second versus third, not getting the attention that it might deserve.
Yes.
I do agree with the Dolphins being the favourites here. They're at $1.45 and the Wars are at $2.75. My favourite try score from that game is Jermaine Asako.
Nice.
On the right wing. He's at $1.83. The Warriors, although they had a great win against the Cowboys, they did concede 2 tries on their left edge. I think Braden Burns scored a double. So I really like Jermaine Asako to cross the stripe there at $1.83. And I also like the Dolphins to win that game as well. And they could potentially move into second spot on the ladder, which would be a crazy story.
Mm-hmm. And then have you got something for the Manly Storm game?
Of course we do. Battle of Brookvale. I'll be in attendance at that game on the hill.
Whoa!
Let's go Manly.
Okay.
I'm kind of surprised at how big a favourite Manly are.
Too big.
I do know that Jerome Hughes is out, so that probably pushes the market towards Manly a fair bit. But Manly $1.45, Storm at $2.75. I feel like, I hate saying this, Storm are a great value there. I still feel like Manly could win this game, but Storm at $2.75 is a good price. Maybe the plus 6.5 there, the line could be a good play. I feel like they can lose the game, but also just lose it in a close fashion. My favorite try score from that game is Tolu Kola. He's at $2.05. Storm's right edge is pretty leaky. I feel like he's going to go up against Joe Chan in the centers. And on the weekend, Storm conceded a try to Matty Tomoko. And I feel like Cola's going to get a lot of attention there. Got a lot of speed, and he's got a great record against the Storm. He scored in both games against them last year. So I feel like he can get over the stripe for the Seagulls.
Now, I know you don't like Sunday games. And I know that it's
this particular round.
This particular round for these boys. But let me tell you something I've been eyeing quickly.
Go ahead.
Dragons versus Raiders. Now, Dragons are always, as they are, heavy underdogs in every game. Valentine Holmes has scored 4 tries in the last 3 games, all of which since the losing streak was broken. So he scored every game, and since his injury has sort of subsided, he's scored every game. I like him to get another one over those Canberra Raiders as well.
I feel like he's not playing well, but you're right. He has scored 4 tries in his past 3 games. He's at $2.50 with us.
Yeah.
Great value price. And the Raiders are also very leaky on their edge.
Very
really
leaky.
Storm put 40 on them in the second half pretty much. So
money to be made on that market, my friend.
And that is the bottom of the table clash. 16th versus 17th. Crazy to think the Raiders going from minor premiers last year to 16th this year.
Soapy called it. He's, a minor premiership winning halfback, taking it away from that side.
Yeah. Doing wonders at Manly Fogarty. But let's go back to my 4 try scorers.
Yes.
Let's put them into a 4-leg multi here. So we've got David Fifita, we've got Jermaine Asako, Tolu Kola, and Robert Toya. If you put them all into a 4-leg multi, you're getting just over $27.
Wow. I was going to say 22. 27 is
pretty
great.
good price, isn't it?
That's really good.
And then lastly, just to finish up, reminder that NRL injury protection is available on all games this weekend. Just want to put up an example here from the Warriors and Cowboys game where Jackson Ford unfortunately went off with that pec injury. That didn't stop this punter's multi from winning. He had Dallin Watene-Zelezniak, Braden Burns, and Adam Pompey. And thanks to our injury protection, this bet was marked as a winner.
Nice. Hey, injury protection doing it again.
It's coming up clutch.
Always. Appreciate you jumping on, sharing everything with us. There's a lot of, I'm hearing rumors that there is, it could be a generational betting round this round. There's that much juice.
Would love to see it.
Appreciate you jumping on. We'll be back next week to discuss everything heading into Origin and all the Origin odds again. And hopefully we'll be able to celebrate some New South Wales betting wins as well.
Let's go for it. Go Blues.
You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website